FM and WAPB 91.7 FM. And I've got somebody in here I've known probably as long as we've had WAPN.
Yep.
Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and how do you know us?
How do I know you guys?
Well, first say who you are.
Well, I'm Don Moore.
And he used to be our postman in this area in Holly Hill forever.
I used to work for the post office 37 years.
I know, isn't that crazy?
And retired in 2016.
Has it been that long?
Lost my late wife in 2016.
That was a big year for you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Busy year.
Yeah.
I've been WAPN when your mom and dad.
I know.
When we first started out. I mean, all 40 years probably.
I think so too. I was thinking that this morning, and when I knew you were coming, I said, I bet it's been all 40 years. And for me and you, what did we do together back in the day that I don't really do anymore?
Well,
do you remember?
No.
Cutting spots together, remember?
Oh, man, I used to do the spots on the radio.
Remember?
Oh, my God. Well, you calling from Paris, France. When we had the salon.
Yep.
And we
I
used to
would
do the
meet you
spots,
down here.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
So,
that was back in the day when we would come in here and help the people write the spots. And and still to this day, we do like people to say it in their voice. And don't you think it made a difference to be in your own voice?
Absolutely.
And why do you feel that? Because I know why I feel it is. But what did it, when people...
But I think it's more sincere, more honest, open. Yeah, absolutely.
And people, I'm sure, when they saw you, would say, oh, don't you have a radio...
I know you. Mm-hmm. You're on the radio.
I know. Wouldn't it make you feel good, though? It would be so neat. But you did that for a long time here. I would meet you here.
We had people calling in to the salon wanting to know if I did hair. I knew enough about hair to be dangerous.
Kind of like with me and mowing a lawn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Tim said the other day, one of the guys didn't show up, and he goes, can you go help me with some stuff? And I said, oh, sure, I'll go help you. And he goes, I'll just put you on a mower. And I said, Tim, I do really good going forward. It's very, very slow.
Yeah.
And he goes,
ours not for race.
I mean, it would be a long day if you put me on that mower and had to do a big property. But I would do it, but I just don't know if I can do it. But I did never see you doing anybody's hair. I have to say that honestly.
No. I used to get around. I don't know if you remember Pastor Gary Powell.
Of course.
Well, he would come in because Jeanette would do his hair, and he came in one day, and I put this big silver apron on. It was a color apron, and I had these giant scissors.
Oh, I'm sure.
And whenever he sat down in the chair, then I snuck out and stood behind him, and he saw me in the mirror. His eyes got that big around. He goes, oh, well, it'll grow back.
And you've been in this area the whole time WAPN's been on the air, right? You've lived here.
Oh, yeah.
So how long have you lived in the area?
I was born and raised here.
So you've never left?
Well, I mean, I've been around Texas, New Mexico.
Okay, but you just came back here.
I was in the service. I was in the Navy, and my dad was a jockey when I was a kid, so we traveled all over.
Okay.
So that was my life back then.
Now, why is Daytona, Port Orange area? Why is this home to you?
Because I was born here. This is home. My family's
I mean, that's
here.
why you came back.
My grandparents. Oh yeah, my grandparents. My 1 year, the year my grandfather died in 1970, I think it was. We came back here for the funeral, and when we got back to Texas, El Paso, my mom said, "I'm going home." So you better make up your mind. My dad says, okay.
And that cute, okay.
We came back here in 71, been back ever since.
Now, see, I was born in Fort Lauderdale, so I'm a Florida person also. But then we lived different places, and then when we got WAPN, we came here. Now, I did move back to Brevard for a season and worked at the Kennedy Space Center, but I would be the weekend warrior.
Right. Yep.
Back and forth helping my dad and he would have these, oh my gosh, in the middle of the night, this came to me about him. And the stupid cassette machines that he would stack and put them on loops. And we would have them half as high as me. And he would have it all figured out with wiring. And I mean, there was 5,000 wires probably on there, but it worked. And that was our automation system. Yep. And
the thing about you is, whether you're on the radio or you're out and about, you can always recognize who you are.
Now, how come you say that?
Because you're always bubbly.
Aww.
You're always laughing. You're always happy. You're always full of joy. That's why.
Well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. And I don't know if Tim would agree with you. But no, I'm very blessed. I am so blessed. And God is so good to me. He's carried me. We were talking about that with somebody this morning that, I've been mad at God before. and that's okay. He's got big shoulders.
Yep.
You know, and I've been times where I've walked away from God, and he never walked away from me. You know, he just stood there and said, anytime you're ready, come on back over here. And it's funny, I semi-retired this year. I'm 63 now, and I can't imagine my life without the relationships I've had from WAPN.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's like me. God's done too much in my life for me to walk away.
right, but you know,
I mean, we might stray a little
Yeah.
bit, but as far as walking away, we don't really walk away.
no, you're right, we
You
didn't.
know, that, I mean, a lot of people use that word, but really, you just, you know, you're gonna do things because we're human.
I love that. That's
the
exactly
whole
how I
thing.
feel. Mm-hmm.
We're human, and we do things that are stupid.
Stupid.
I'm glad we agree on that.
And I think about all the people that have been in our lives over these last 40
Yeah,
years. Just think of the
absolutely.
generals that we've got to be part of their ministries. You know, even when Jeanette died, that was hard. And I know I was extremely hard on you. But I was so honored to get to come be there and serve you and Jeanette that day. You know, and that was an honor to me, just so you know that. She was a very special lady. You're
She
okay.
was.
But she was always so kind to me. Always had a smile. So
Yeah.
when you say I'm bubbly,
Yeah.
she was like that. I remember the time she permed my hair. I thought she was going to lose it on me, not because of how much hair I had. I think we put 190 something rods in my hair, and she's like, "Why are we doing this?" You know, I didn't know, but I wanted her to try it, and she was willing to do it. And when we took them out, I had more hair than you could imagine, and she just smiled and looked at me like, "Well, you wanted this," and she had such grace. She would always
she
meet
did.
you wherever you were at. You know,
Yeah.
she
And
had
if
that
she
kind-
was ever mad at me, you'd never know it.
probably not.
No, you wouldn't.
No. So who are the people you remember of this area? I know we were just talking about somebody right before you went on the air, but who are your people that used to be around we don't see anymore? Maybe they've gone on to the Lord, or who do you still see around the area?
Well, I mean, I want to say, you know, one of the biggest figures in my life was, of course, Pastor Gary Powell and John J. Seelan. You know, those people are
Anchors.
that always be, you know, if I need to call them, I can call them.
Now, why is John to you?
John, man, wow. He was the guy I could go to. I could talk to him about anything.
I never judged you.
And he believed in me. You know what I'm saying? He didn't. I could talk to him, and he could talk to me, and he knew that was as far as it would go, and I knew the same thing. You know, that's
a quality that's hard to find, isn't it?
absolutely.
And, you know, I still record him Mondays and
Yeah.
Tuesdays. And, you know, it's funny because you would think that I would have somebody else do it or whatever. And we've tried that for a season here or there. He started recording at my mom's house, okay? My mom would record him. And she would cut up a little apple and all those things. I thought, you don't get that with me.
Well, it's funny. It was cool because, you know, whenever he would come, because Jeanette did his and Haman's hair, and when he would come in, you know, it's like she would move us back to the back room, not to hide him, just so we could talk, just so
Out of
we could
respect.
spend time
Yep.
together, you know, and that was great. And I always tried to, she would try to schedule him where I could be there because I was still at the post office
Right,
too,
always
so,
thinking of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
see, when I get him Mondays and Tuesdays early in the morning. We record before it gets crazy in here. And I always feel the same way, that it's my time. You know, me and him hang out.
Right,
We visit about
exactly.
different
Sure.
things. And if Hema gets to come, it's even more special because then we start talking about grandkids and stuff. And poor John's like, okay, are we going to record today? But yes, they are an unbelievable, wonderful couple
they
in
are.
this town.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know,
And there's when Jeanette retired, because she wanted to go into counseling, so we had gotten a degree in pastoral Christian counseling, and she wanted to go more into that. And so there are certain people that say, no, Jeanette, you have to still do my hair. So I set her up a little
I
place
remember,
at the
yep.
house
I know.
so she could just do those special people that
Because she kept honoring him no
oh,
matter
yeah,
what.
absolutely.
And that's what
Yeah.
it was, is honor.
Right.
People don't, I don't think nowadays people get the word honor. I really don't. I think that we're a generation of that's showing your love, showing your respect is to honor that person and
Absolutely.
to, bend with that person, handle that person, cheerlead that person. And I think that that's one thing we've been blessed to have John. And now that he has the Global Prayer Center, and he's even having an anniversary this month. It was so cute because he goes, "Can you come out on the 26th," which is actually the real day of WAPN. We're going to have the barbecue the next day. He goes, "Can you come out?" And I thought, no. And he looked at me like he was surprised. But I was going to have dinner with my kids because,
Right.
that was my dad's birthday. So it was going to be
Sure.
like,
Yep.
But then I thought about it yesterday, actually. I was thinking, I thought, well, we're going to be eating here the next day. I probably could figure that out. I don't know. It's hard to figure out what to do with everything.
Well, you have so much of your mom and dad's personality and you, but they were your mom and dad both. They were kind of quiet people, but
He's saying I'm
always-
not.
you could talk to them, and their focus was always God.
Mm-hmm.
It was just they were amazing people.
Okay, so now that you knew my parents, because not a lot of people, there's been one other person on so far with memories that knew my parents personally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So what do you remember about when WAPN first started and my dad?
Oh my goodness! Wow. That's been a long time. You expect me to remember that
40
far
years
back?
ago? Well, yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you remember
wow.
the building looked so much different? It was the same building.
I mean, yeah, everything's changed, especially in here. I mean, all this stuff, is.
What would you think my dad would think about it? Because, you knew him in the humble beginnings. You knew when we were duct taping things together.
Yeah, but I mean, he would just take it with stride. He really would.
He was a visionary, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Absolutely.
If I could call my dad anything besides dad, I would say he was a visionary.
Yeah, definitely was.
To think about how.
Well, I remember, because he started giving you more and more and more to do.
Yeah.
Because he had a plan.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't fully on board with that plan yet. But
Don knows that about me.
You got there.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was kicking and
No.
screaming, wasn't I? And you remember that?
Yep.
But I honored him, didn't I?
Yes, you did. All
No
the
matter
way.
what he asked me to do.
Sure.
Even when I was just mad, I would
Yeah.
say, well, I'm going to honor my dad. And I look back, and I was telling somebody the other day, he had a stroke not too long before he died. Nobody knew it. And they said,
Yeah.
well, did he have any? Yeah, his right side was damaged.
Right.
He couldn't even write his name or anything. And he would be in here, and people would need him to write. And I'd say, you pay me the big bucks. Let me do that for you. And we made it a joke so that
Right.
he wouldn't feel weird,
Sure.
And I think, I hope that one day if something like that happened to me, my kids would honor me and do the same thing.
I'm
You
sure
know what
they
I'm
would.
saying?
You got good kids.
Yeah, I do have good
Really
kids.
do.
I am blessed. So my dad, did you remember about him always wearing white?
Yep, all the time.
But what did he get at the very end? Do you remember this that went on his head and what color it was? Do you remember?
Was it black?
It was purple. Remember when
Oh, the purple suit. I remember that now.
he had
Yes.
that purple
Oh,
suit,
yeah.
and then he
I
got the
remember.
purple Jewish
That's the
little. What do
only
you call the
time-
little Jewish thing? I never know the real name.
Um,
We both went blank. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're both old and can go blank.
I-
But my dad, the royal color, wanted to wear that purple suit when he went places. He
I
was.
remember the time we went to a Jewish wedding.
Uh-huh.
Jeanette dyed my hair black. Give me one of the little caps.
Yep.
I wore that, and you remember Jeff, my grandson.
Yep.
He had a little cap on his. What are those called? It's going to drive me
I know,
nuts.
but we'll figure it out, and later on we'll call each
Yeah.
other and say this is what it was.
Yeah.
So how is your grandson?
Yep.
And do you still?
Jeff?
Yeah, where is he
Oh my
at?
God, he's married now and got 2 kids, and he lives in Tampa.
Oh, wow.
And yep,
He was such a big part of your life for
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many years, and then
Yeah.
they grow up on us and go ahead and get married and be happy. Can you believe it? The
I had
nerve of
him
them.
we had him every other weekend.
I know.
Forever
I know. He was just like yours.
until he graduated college. Even I mean,
That's
yeah.
special. So now, what do you remember about my mom?
Your mom every day she had that pony, that pigtail that she wove.
The braid.
The braid. Yeah, I couldn't think of that either.
That's
so.
okay.
She wore that, and your mom was laid back also, very calm, and very even keel, and she said everything was about God with her. I mean, and you could feel the presence of God around her too. I mean, But she was an amazing woman. She really was.
She was a Proverbs 31 woman.
Mm-hmm.
She really was. And I think about the humble beginnings of WAPN, how my dad and her would be here around the clock doing
Yep.
whatever it took to keep WAPN on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about when we're in the little yellow shed out back and then we got to come inside. I think about Ron Fussell used to have a wired mic and run the parking lot because he could.
Right.
You know, and I think we reached 3 miles back then.
Wow.
And now we reach
Yeah, that part about Ron I didn't know.
Yeah, Ron, my dad had these Radio Shack mics, okay? And it was wired because back then there wasn't anything as wireless. And my dad had the longest cord you could get on it. And Ron would get a preaching, and Ron would just be running the parking lot because, you know, he would just be on fire. And then, you know, we had to calm him down and get him in a studio. And it's funny to think of over the years what God has done. And, you know, my dad was around for the internet when it started.
Yep.
But I mean, it was like floppy disks. Remember those big floppy disks?
God.
You know, and the computer that weighed more than you did. You know what I'm saying? And we went on the internet, but it was so slow, it wasn't even worth it. Ron,
Well, it was all dial-up, you know.
oh yeah, you've got mail, and it would be 30 minutes later to
Oh,
get, if you
yeah.
had to send a document back
Sure.
then. Oh my gosh, you know, and there was no document sign and none
I
of that.
remember when the post office went from manual to floppy disk, man.
It's crazy.
Oh my God.
I still have my PO box there. Isn't that funny? And
In
I don't.
Holly Hill?
Yeah, and I'm like, why don't
250311.
I know? Why do I keep it? You know
And
what
I
I'm saying?
guess, like-
I know, but I feel like I'm supposed to keep it. You know, I
Well,
don't know why. I don't get
keep
much
it.
mail, but it's funny because every time I think, well, I could save that money, it's like God won't let me get rid of that because it's just part of the history of WAPN. You know what I'm saying? I love memories. I love history. I love to think of, you know, the different things now. Do you listen to WAPN? I know not as much as you used to.
What was the one thing I used to do to your mail when I put it in a box? Do you remember that?
Well, you would always put a little smiley face on it.
With a halo on.
And I'm surprised I don't get, when you write a check to the lawn business, I do look to see if you still do that anymore. I haven't seen you do that in a long
My
time.
D, if you look at my D on the, when I signed the check, look at the D.
Okay. I'm going
It's
to
there.
now because I digitally
The
deposit.
D has a halo and a smiley face.
Okay,
on it.
I'm going to look better because I have looked and I've wondered. I have looked. Now, what of the different shows that you've listened to over WAPN over the years?
Remember Steve Kennedy?
Of course. I wonder where he is. Have you,
You
ever
know,
heard?
No,
Okay.
no.
I haven't heard anything about him
But
for years.
Steve Kennedy was one of the favorites.
Joy in the morning.
Yep. Yep.
You know what I was thinking about
I
Steve the other
remember
day?
when he started that with your dad, when they started doing that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was funny because he had great music. Oh man,
He did.
That's
He was
why I
really
wish,
good at that.
That's why I wish I could find him right now because I am such a music person. You know, he was one of the people that taught
Yeah.
me about worship music.
I really don't know whatever happened to them.
I don't know either.
Steve
Yeah.
and Sue Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Joy in the morning. Then they had the church and stuff. But Steve, I laugh about this all the time. Steve was a little guy, kind of square looking. I don't mean that weird, but you know his body
No,
shape.
yeah.
And he said, but when I was on the radio, I was 6'2" and good looking. And I thought, so the other day when we started the YouTube, I thought, oh my goodness, what would Steve do now?
Yep,
Because now you
absolutely.
see it on a camera.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Steve Kennedy is somebody
Of course, John Jay.
Yeah.
I always listen to him.
Yeah.
But there wasn't Ron Fussell, there wasn't a lot of people that I listened to per se, but I knew a lot of people.
Yep, that were
because
part of it.
The business. And it was just fun knowing.
Isn't it was neat knowing that they were on the radio and they were kind of the community.
Yeah.
Isn't
And
it?
then if I heard them on radio, I could sneak up here and talk to them.
Right. And there's a couple people that actually still do that. They'll hear somebody live on the air, and next thing you know, my buzzer's going off, and they just want to stop by. And isn't that neat to be a community hometown radio station?
And they know who you are, and you know who they are, and it's really neat, you know. It's like,
And you know that was my dad's vision, that we could all be like a big family,
Right.
and that we could partner together,
Yeah.
and we could see each other.
See, your dad and mom used to go from church to church
Everywhere.
to visit, and they did that, and people didn't understand that, but I did.
Okay, so
did,
tell me, what
because
did you
they-
understand
because
about that?
they-
I love
because
this.
They loved everybody, and they wanted everybody to be a part of WAPN.
Yeah.
And that's why they did what they did. And then they just didn't want to be tied down to one place. They wanted people to see that, hey, we're here for everybody, not just one group of people.
See, and I love that you get that, because that was the biggest thing my parents were criticized for, is that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
And it was sad that my dad always wanted unity in the community. My dad never saw color.
Absolutely.
Dad never saw denomination.
Yep.
My dad just saw that.
God's people were God's people.
Yep, and that was
period.
it.
Absolutely.
And to pray for people. Erlene was the original prayer line person. And I remember at the 25th anniversary, we had announced that we had got the app. And so my mom, we snuck out her phone and put it in her phone. So when we announced it, she's like, well, how do I get it? And I was like, it's already in your phone. And she's like, oh, she was so excited. And when we did that, Tim and I bought the app. I'll never forget that when she was dying, that was her lifeline. Mm-hmm. Because she would just turn her phone on, and that app was everything to her.
Yeah.
And I think, thank you, God, that Tim and I were brave. I didn't even have an Apple phone. I didn't even know what an app was. You know what I'm saying? And so we've had it 15 years now. And when we travel, I always turn it on. Tim always thinks of me, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I want to make sure it works here in Honduras. Or I want to make sure. And he's like, well, it does. And I go, I know, but I just want to know that I know. And I think, could you imagine if Gordy was alive? Him and Ron, when the WAPN first went on there, they each got in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And each drove a different direction to see how far WAPN could go. All right. And they were so proud of themselves. Well, they couldn't drive as far as we can go now because of technology. And, I just think, sometimes I think technology's not good because you can use it for bad, like anything.
Well, that's true.
But sometimes I think, what a blessing. Who are we reaching today, and how are we reaching them?
True.
I had a guy in here the other day that his family didn't live here, and we were doing an interview with him. And he said, so my parents can go to YouTube later and watch it? Because they were taking a nap. And I go, yeah, they can go later. He goes, wow.
Yeah.
And so I just thankful for the relationships and the people I've got to have in my life. And you're one of those people that I've got to have in my life through WAPN.
Long time.
And I'm thankful for that. I appreciate you. And is there anything else you remember about WAPN that you can tell on me or not tell on me? This is your moment, Don. Your moment.
Boy, I'm telling you, there's so many things that
God has
happened
protected
over the
his
years.
tongue. Oh, my dad going in to get that mail, too. He was faithful. He had to go get that
He'd
mail.
always come in and talk to me
I know.
when he got the mail. He'd
Always.
always come to the counter.
Well,
and we'd talk.
when you and
if
the other
someone
Don
came
were
in,
there.
he'd just step aside, let me wait on him, and he was always patient. And we just talked. He was never too good for anybody.
No, he always had time for everybody.
Yeah.
And sometimes that was the fault of him also.
Yeah.
It was. I remember a couple shady things we had to deal with, and I'm
Well,
like,
now I'm late.
I know. Whatever.
all right.
But I remember when both of you and the other Don worked there. And it was a joy to go to the
Don
post.
Musso, yeah.
It was a joy to go to the post office because it
Yeah.
was going to like your neighbor.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Not that I don't like the people at the mailbox now, so I don't want you to think that. But
But the post office has changed a lot.
it has.
I mean, we used to have 3 people now. Now it's 1 person.
And she's so stressed out because, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd go in there, and like you said about my dad, we could just talk to you guys and find out what was going on. And we all cared about each other, and we knew when somebody needed prayer. It was just a very special
I
place.
actually left there and moved to a post office on the beach side. Do you remember Darlene?
I sure do.
Okay, I went to a post office on the beach side so she could stay there because they were gonna move her out and put her in Orlando because remember when they shut everything down.
Yep.
And I said, look, why don't Bruce retired at Penn Station. I said, why don't I go over there? And she goes, Don, would you do that? I said, yeah. I said, why would you go to Orlando?
Right.
So I went over there, and we talked every day, and she said, Don, they're killing me over here. And actually, they did.
I know.
And she eventually went in the hospital and never came out.
I know. I remember that.
And then I bid back over there because they decided to make Shores Post Office and Peninsula Station, Main Street, one unit. So there was one guy was going to run both They're going
I
to be
know,
open
they-
half a day, and they got a guy doing that right now.
I remember I was
When
so
I found out about that, I said, I'm not going to run up and down the road.
Well, it was so cute. One of the times I missed y'all most when you were not there, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. I had always wanted to have my Christmas card stamped from Christmas, Florida. Okay, it was just a thing
Yeah.
a desire of my heart.
You
okay.
could do. A lot of people do that.
Well, yeah, but they screwed it all up because I put it all together and I wanted it like the next day. I want my cards out so people start getting them the day after Thanksgiving. Okay, I'm
Right.
really funny about that.
Yeah.
They sent them over there like for whenever they got stamped. I was devastated. People weren't getting their cards to like right at Christmas.
The only problem with that is, you know how many people send their cards to Christmas, Florida?
Yes, and I
There's
had to
no
get over
way
it.
they
I
could
know
do
I
that
had to
in
get
one day.
over it. I know that, but I would thought if Dawn was here, it would have happened.
Well, you just have no idea how many people want their cards done.
I
from
know,
Christmas,
but isn't
Florida.
that neat that we have that
Oh,
and we
yeah,
could do
absolutely,
that? See,
sure.
that's another like hometown thing that I love about our little area and the people of our area that we care about each other.
Yep.
We are a community,
Yep.
and even though we might not see each other every day or talk to each other every day. I feel like we could just like walk into John Jay's house right now and have a cup of coffee if we wanted
We
one.
could,
Right.
but I know we could. Just
Right.
knock on the door.
We have to knock.
Yeah.
I hope Tim knows that rule. No, just kidding. But you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
If the door's not locked.
But you know what I'm saying? Isn't
Yeah.
it nice to be in a community
Sure.
and with people that we can do that?
And it's like, no matter how far apart or how long apart we've been, we catch up really quick.
Right. It's like we finished the sentence that we
you
just
know?
left off.
Right.
And I love
Exactly.
it.
Sure.
Well, thanks so much for coming in and talking.
I appreciate you you have no idea.
Well, I'm really thankful that you talked about my parents and that I get to be
Yeah.
with somebody
Well,
that
I mean,
knew them. That's very special
they
to me.
were WAPN. That's how it started. That's
Right.
how it all begins. Think about it now, 40 years later.
And 4 generations, Don, because
here's
I'm number
Shelley.
2, Yvonne's 3rd, and
Yeah.
now my granddaughter's sending music
Yeah,
over as the 4th.
Sure.
Isn't that crazy? 4 generations of WAPN.
Now I'm working harder than I ever worked.
I know.
I need to go back to work so I can
Go to
rest.
work. I know. Okay, the post office, are you taking them back? No. You have a wonderful
Every
day.
time I go in there, they want me to come back to work, and I said, no.
I don't know. I could see you doing that one day.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by.
Hey,